Hello, hello, hello. Okay.
Oh, we can just do this. Lighting some also. Nice. What time you're starting? 10 and tracks. They are not back of the protocols. Harsh. उसका कुछ है ये पोस्टर भी नहीं है वो कर रही है वो कर रही है
तो बोलो जल्दी करो। तो ये सब में
सब मैंने निकाला
हो गया।
किसी ने एक्सपेक्ट नहीं किया Hello. 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 Check. I would like to kindly request everyone to put their phones on silent and maintain the decorum of the formal space. Also, I would request the audience to kindly stand when the guests arrive.
I would like to request everyone to please settle down. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of School of Commerce, Exime University, it is our privilege to extend a warm and respectful welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, the Chief Patron of this conference, Dr. Father K.S. Kashmir S.J., our respected Dean School of Commerce, Conference Convener, Professor P.K. Mahanti, the Associate Dean School of Commerce, Conference Co-Convener, Professor Ashok Kumar Mishra, our eminent speakers, distinguished delegates, researchers from across the country, faculty members, students, and peers. We are delighted to have you with us for this prestigious national conference organized by the School of Commerce.
It is indeed a momentous occasion as we gather around the theme Innovation Driven Commerce in a Complex Business World. In an era shaped by rapid digital transformation and shifting geopolitical realities, innovation is no longer a choice. It is the driving force that sustains resilient and future ready commerce.
This national conference serves as a scholarly platform to examine how innovation, technology, and strategic thinking are reshaping commerce and growing economic, technological, and geopolitical complexities. Over the next 2 days, we seek to move beyond conventional approaches and explore how novel ideas can be transformed into effective strategies for a dynamic global marketplace through seminars, parallel technical sessions, and workshops. We are honored to have the leadership of our university with us to formally set this academic journey in motion.
May I now request all the dignitaries, including our Honorable Vice Chancellor, the Dean of the School of Commerce, and our esteemed resource persons, Mr. Manoranjan Sharma, Professor Debasis Pradhan, and Ms. Lopa Mishra, Professor Gordhan Saini, and Professor Sachinandan Mohanty, to kindly come forward for the lighting of the lamp.
Thank you. May this auspicious beginning guide the proceedings of the conference over the next 2 days and lead us towards meaningful and academic enrichment.
May we now request our esteemed dignitaries to take their places on the dais. We extend a warm invitation to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Father K. S. Casimir S.J., the Dean School of Commerce, Professor P. K. Mohante, the Associate Dean School of Commerce, Professor Ashok Mishra, and our distinguished guest and keynote speaker, Mr. Manoranjan Sharma, to kindly proceed to the dais.
To formally commence the inaugural proceedings, may we invite the conference convener, the Dean of SOC, Professor P.K. Mahdi, to deliver the opening reflections and set the context for this conference. Sir, please.
Thank you. Our esteemed keynote speaker, Dr. Manoranjan Sharma, all our dignitaries of the dais, Dr. Debashish Pradhan, Dr. Saini, Dr. Sachinandan, Honorable Father Vice Chancellor, Dr. Father K.S. Casimir S.J., my colleague, Professor Ashok Mishra, Associate Dean, and also the co-convener of this conference, esteemed dignitaries, delegates, research scholars, paper presenters, my dear faculty colleagues, and my dear students. It's my pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to you all to this inaugural session of this two-day conference on the theme Innovation-Driven Commerce in a Complex Business World. While we are discussing about the theme of the conference, the entire faculty body of School of Commerce discussed, deliberated, what should be the theme? And we finally agreed on this important theme, that is innovation-driven commerce in a complex business world. We added the word complex knowingly and intentionally. Commerce has always been complex in this world. It is no longer just buying and selling of goods and services. Civilizations after civilizations have been doing commerce. In the olden times, if I talk about the barter system, we have studied in our school days that there was barter system, exchange of goods. Then currency developed. Then complexities were added year after year, centuries after centuries. And today we are in a world where the business is in a stage where complexities are there, and even going forward, there will be more complexities. And these complexities have been due to a variety of reasons. In the opening remarks of our MCs, they said, digitization. Yes, digitization has made us, made our life easy. And fintech, finance technologies have also enabled the business. And not only that, the arrival of AI, artificial intelligence, has made our lives easy. At the same time, it has added many complexities. So we are at a stage where the business houses ask themselves, whatever we are doing, the way we are doing, the way we have been conducting the business, is this the right way or something can be done? And this is more so due to the customer preferences. That the shift in the customer preferences, it is no longer easy to satisfy the customers' demands easily because they have choices. In the earlier times, the choices were limited. So there are choices. And technology has enabled the business. Technology has been the enabler, no doubt about that. But when complexities are there, complexities have given rise to innovation. And when we say innovation, without technology, we cannot think of innovation. In fact, technology and innovation are central to the Viksit Bharat 2047. We want to become a Viksit Bharat by 2047, and without this, and there are many enablers also, you all are aware of those things. Digital India, Skill India, Make in India, those things have helped us in achieving the business goals. But at the same time, the goals keep on changing. The business models keep on changing. Because whatever business models we are following or the business houses are following, they are questioned, they are restructured, they are reimagined to suit the customer requirement, to suit the present day requirements. And the complexities are also there because of the trade and tariff wars. In this immediate past year, 2025, the entire not only India, but the entire globe is facing these uncertainties because of the tariff and trade war. In fact, this trade and tariff war are causing more damage than the military war. Military wars are going between Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Gaza. So these wars have also disturbed the commerce and trade, and they have disrupted the supply chains. In fact, 2 days ago, the stock market declined because of heavy sell-off in the IT stocks. NVIDIA chairman has clarified that IT sector will still be relevant because there was a fear because of Anthropics. They are not going to use the software. They have developed some tools, AI tools, which will make, there was a fear that that will make the IT sector irrelevant. But the chairman of NVIDIA has dismissed that fear. So complexities will be there. In fact, when the budget was presented on 1st February, our Honorable Finance Minister, Mrs. Sitharaman, did not anticipate that the US trade deal will be announced the next day. And in an interview, she was saying that I did not factor that in. We are factoring, looking at the future. Even after the US-India trade deal was announced, there are many challenges, many things that will disrupt the business. So complexities will be there, but how we address them, that requires a lot of challenges on the part of the business leaders, and the demographic dividend should not be forgotten. We have 65% of our population are youth. It is no longer enough to have a degree. You have to have skills which will sail you through the difficult times. The business leaders who are doing that, business leaders who are facing these challenges, are not only addressing those issues, but also innovating in a way that will take care of the challenges, and also they're grabbing the opportunities. Not only it comes with the challenges, but also it comes with the opportunities. So business model will change. It will keep on changing. And complexities will be there. If complexities are not there, machines will run the business. So in our economic survey, the chief economic advisor also has said very interesting thing that we want an entrepreneurial state. We want leaders who will not run the business, who will not just run the business, but also take complexities into account and make changes according to the requirement and will adapt to the technology, adapt to the changes that is dictated by the environment or the business atmosphere, and will make policies. So this topic we have deliberated and arrived at this topic. We have given a lot of thought to this, and interestingly, we have got a significant number of papers. But with due respect, I would like to mention here that we have chosen a few for the paper presentation. We respect the authors of those papers, even if they are not selected. We respect the authors, their effort, and their thought that has gone into that paper. So in these 2 days, we'll be discussing, deliberating. Paper presentations will be there. We'll be learning from them. This is a good platform to learn from one another. And many things will be said here, right here in the platform. And let us contribute whatever way is possible to the Viksit Bharat. And technical sessions will be there. After the papers are presented, we also would like to announce the Best Paper Award. That will be tomorrow. In the validity sessions, we'll be doing that. So I welcome you once again to this 2-day national conference on this important theme. Please have a good learning experience, and I'm sure there will be insightful discussions which will help one another, and there will be meaningful strategies which will be developed. Some decisions will be taken which can take the future ahead for all of us. With this few words, I thank you once again and welcome all of you cordially to this 2-day conference. I'm sure you will have a nice time in this campus. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for laying such a strong foundation for the sessions to follow. May I now request all the dignitaries on the dais to kindly do the honors and reveal the Book of Abstracts.
It is now a distinct honor to formally invite our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Father K.S. Kashmir, SG, whose leadership and academic vision continue to guide the university's pursuit of excellence, to address this August gathering. But before his address, may I respectfully request the Vice Chancellor to release the e-magazine of the School of Commerce exclusive. Just press this button.
economic uncertainty. Traditional business models are being challenged. Global trade patterns are being redrawn. And innovation has emerged as the most powerful driver of resilience and growth. Technology has transformed commerce in unprecedented ways. Artificial intelligence, digital platforms, automation, and data analytics have reshaped production, distribution, and consumption. While these developments have created new opportunities for efficiency and global integration, they have also raised concerns around cybersecurity, data governance, and digital inequality. Innovation must therefore be guided by ethical principles and inclusive development. Alongside technological change, the global economy is facing serious geopolitical and strategic disruptions. Trade wars, tariff barriers, sanctions, and protectionist policies have altered international trade flows. Ongoing wars, political unrest, and regional conflicts have disrupted energy supplies, global logistics, and financial markets. These realities highlight the close interlinkage between commerce, geopolitics, and global security. A direct consequence of these disruptions has been the reconfiguration of global supply chains. The pandemic that we all experienced and subsequent geopolitical tensions expose the vulnerabilities in highly concentrated production networks. Today, resilience, diversification, and strategic autonomy have become essential goals. Innovation in supply chain design, logistics technology, and trade facilitation is critical to managing uncertainty and complexity. Despite these challenges, the global economic environment also offers historic opportunities. The recently signed India-European Union trade deal, widely referred to as the mother of all trade deals, represents a landmark shift in global trade architecture. It strengthens economic cooperation across technology, sustainability, innovation, and regulatory alignment. Alongside this, recent Indo-US trade initiatives signal deepening strategic and economic engagement between two major democracies. India stands at a pivotal moment in its economic journey. With a young population, expanding digital infrastructure, and a dynamic entrepreneurial ecosystem, India is well positioned to play a leadership role in innovation-driven global governance. However, achieving this vision requires strong foundations in education, research, policy engagement, and institutional collaboration, which eventually depends on each and every one of you. Today, the world looks to India for manpower. If we are to emerge as Vikshit Bharat, each one of you should be supremely confident, deeply analytical, and skilled in such a way that the world will compete for each and every one of you. That will depend on investing your energy, your time, your imagination, and all your resources in developing you. No country can become a developed nation unless each individual citizen of that country is developed. So the expectation and dream of this country rests heavily on the shoulders of each and every student here. Universities like XIM play a vital role in this transformation. We must not only disseminate knowledge, but also cultivate critical thinking, ethical leadership, and global awareness. Academic platforms such as this conference help bridge theory and practice and contribute to informed policy and business decision making. I am confident that the deliberations during this conference will be intellectually enriching and incredibly relevant and meaningful. I congratulate each one of you and encourage all participants to engage actively and collaborate constructively. I once again welcome you all to this national conference and wish you great success. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you so much, Father, for your valuable insights and for enriching the inaugural proceedings. As a mark of our appreciation, may we request you to kindly felicitate our distinguished guest and keynote speaker, Mr. Manoranjan Sharma. We also request Professor Debasis Pradhan, Ms. Lopa Mishra, Professor Gordhan Saini, and Professor Sachinandan Mohanty to kindly join us on dais to receive a small token of appreciation at the hands of our Honorable Vice Chancellor.
Thank you to all the dignitaries. May we now request you to kindly be seated.
Our keynote speaker for this inaugural session is a distinguished economist and a prominent voice in India's banking and policy landscape. Mr. Manoranjan Sharma Chief Economist at Informex Ratings, New Delhi, and former Chief Economist of Canara Bank, brings with him decades of experience in banking, finance, and economic policy. He made presentations and chaired sessions at national and international conferences. His papers have multiply repeated and globally accepted. He has been on multiple panels of professor and associate professors at IIMs and many other institutions.
We are honored to have you with us, sir. May we invite you to take the podium and share your insights with the gathering. Sir, please.
Namaskar. Good morning to all of you. Distinguished Vice Chancellor, Father Professor Mohanty, Professor Mishra, distinguished guests, delegates, friends, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I must convey my grateful thanks to all of you, particular authorities of this eminent university, for having me with you on this important occasion. My task is quite simple because of the brilliant speeches made by Father Distinguished Vice Chancellor, also Professor Mohanty. So I'll try to maybe possibly highlight, flag certain issues. Father Vice Chancellor referred to the global economic uncertainty, where we have uncertain waters challenged by geopolitical fractures, economic fragmentation, shifting trade policies, financial turbulence, and fragile investor confidence. What is of importance to us that if we look at the global economy all around us, whether you look at the data set of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the World Bank, the OECD, ADB, other ADB, one is Asian Development Bank, the other is African Development, global economy growing by something like 2.8 to 3%. In this kind of a setting, this marks a significant downtrend, a historical, some kind of, if I may say, deceleration. The IMF has done considerable work in this area, and they have demonstrated that during the period 2000 to 2019, not so far away, the global economy grew by something like 3.7 to 3.8. Now, at the global level, the kind of work we have, the kind of world we are living in, maybe possibly we are growing by less than 1% lesser. Some of you may be aware that one of the most respected British papers is The Guardian. There, the US correspondent, Naomi Klein, she is the Guardian's correspondent in the US. She has published an important book referred to a variety of issues. But then the title of the book struck me, and she says this changes everything. The father referred to geo-economic fragmentation. Ms. Geeta Gopinath, who was till recently possibly in the second place in the IMF hierarchy, deputy MD of IMF, first deputy MD of IMF. I think she has now moved to the University of Harvard as a professor. So all this in the case of geopolitical turbulence. We have the uncertain situation still in the Middle East. We have the Russia-Ukraine war. We have volatility in the price of oil. We have President Trump's tariffs. We have the attack on, if I may call it, brazen attack on Venezuela. So all this makes for an uncertain world, and this changes everything. In this kind of a situation, this has wider economic, political, social ramifications. Some of you who have been students of economics, finance, banking would recall that post-Second World War, the emergence of the new international financial architecture called the Bretton Woods architecture, which came into being in 1944, 1945. So we have come a long way since then, possibly about 80 years. But if you look at the economic history of those 80 years, you'll find that 2-3 important points emerged. Whenever there was a crisis at the global level, transcending geographical boundaries, gold and US dollar emerged as safe havens. This is what we find: dollar going up, gold going up, and silver also has emerged as something in this category. Now, recently, if you look in a cross-country framework in India, one way is to look at in the context of the rupee linkage to the US dollar. The other, I will not have time, I'll briefly flag it for some students, teachers, if they want. The Reserve Bank does a comprehensive analysis called the REER framework, real and effective exchange rate, where the movement of the rupee is examined in terms of a basket of currencies. Earlier, historically, it used to be 4 or 6 US dollar, pound sterling, mark, yen, Chinese currency. Now they look at possibly a basket of 25, 30 currency. So in case of that, dollar has also taken a hit, and there is a distinct move towards de-dollarization. That is the complex issue. But then the world is, despite all this turbulence, the world is increasingly become one. Interdependencies and interlinkages are strongly coming to the fore. This may be a new concept in the West, in Europe, in America. But for us in India, we have believed in this kind of a concept of mourning also with this prayer, Shanti, and then we have believed in the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The entire world is a community. Now this has been increasingly brought to the fore repeatedly. This century has been marked by 3 seismic events, 3 events of great global turbulence: 1929, 1930 with the global depression, followed by October 2008, we had the global economic crisis, sometimes also called the global economic meltdown. 2020, 2021, we had a COVID pandemic which debilitated income, output and employment across the development spectrum. So in this kind of a world, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, where the world is increasingly becoming one, there is, as the Vice Chancellor and Professor Mohanty referred, convergence of innovation, big data, AI, machine learning, deep learning, robotics, analytical, internet, entrepreneurship. These are shaping a VUCA world with disruptive innovations and challenges. All this is very well. This is to be welcomed. But there is a certain flip side to it. Some of you may be watching Hindi films. I think Hindi is also popular. I think about 15 years back, there was a picture in which India's prominent male actor Shah Rukh Khan had a major role called Om Shanti Om. Some of you may recall that film. There was a powerful dialogue there by Shah Rukh Khan where he said, "Picture abhi baki hai mere dost." In other words, there is a flip side to it. Professor Mohanty and the Vice Chancellor refer to certain flip sides also. But let me highlight these kind of dangers of this kind of explosion of information, knowledge on an unprecedented scale. We have been forewarned. In England, we had one of the most famous English poets and critics, possibly after William Shakespeare, if you think of possibly 3 or 4 names, T.S. Eliot would figure right there at the top. So T.S. Eliot was an English poet, an English critic, and unlike Shakespeare, who was born in 1564, T.S. Eliot did his major work from 1930 to 1950 odd. And he wrote some powerful lines which resonate even much more today than when he wrote about a century ago. I quote T.S. Eliot here: "Where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge we have lost in information?" So this what T.S. Eliot drove is that there has to be a sequential flow from information to knowledge to wisdom to maturity. This kind of a sequential flow is missing. This kind of an innovation-driven world that we are looking at, particularly in relation to commerce, I think basically in case of sciences, physical sciences, economics, management, all these social sciences which applies with greater force to this subject of innovation driven commerce in a complex business world, we have to raise an attempt to answer some fundamental questions. If you look at the Nobel Prize winners, whether in physics, whether in chemistry, so many others, biological sciences also, they attempt to answer some fundamental questions. These questions, very simple, one-word questions: what, how, why, and now recently, last 50 years, we have added, these are the three critical questions which have been asked down through the centuries. Wherever knowledge has progressed, what, how, why, now how can things change? Now let me give you an example, because to explain the fundamental significance of these kind of very powerful questions. All of us see an apple falling from the ground. This is what? How does it fall? But it took an Isaac Newton to arrive at the law of gravitation. He could answer the question why. So my submission to all distinguished teachers, faculty members, students here, always try to go beyond those relatively superficial questions of what and how. If you can answer the basic question, why does it happen? And then for kind of a social applicability, for applicability across a wide spectrum, if you can also use that kind of information, how can we improve things? Maybe we could make a fundamental contribution. As other speakers have already pointed out, we are living in a complex business world, innovation, complexity, VUCA world. Now, let me give you 2-3 examples. China also, despite all our differences, China also has an ancient culture. I'm reminded of in India, ancient times, all of us came across this concept of a curse. Hindi word is sharp. Maybe curse would come close to it. So I'm reminded of a Chinese curse which says that, may you live in interesting times. So all of us are living in interesting times. Just to drive home the kind of tumultuous changes, kind of wide-ranging, extensive changes we are seeing. Let me refer to 2-3. Basically, one example, I'll give you one more. One of the most iconic institutions in the field of science and technology, possibly MIT is well known, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, but other institution which is widely referred, they have done pioneering work in science, technology, particularly high energy physics. They are looking for a unifying principle, sometimes called in simpler terms, God's own particle, God's own, that is Fermilab. That was an Italian physicist, Enrico Fermi. So in his name, they have built this huge institution in California. They are doing pioneering work, and possibly at any given time, you'll have 30, 40 Nobel laureates working there. So that is some kind of an iconic institution in the world of higher education all over the world. Recently, about 2010, the director of the Fermilab made a very powerful statement that till 2010, the world's knowledge base used to double every 8 years. Now, fast forward to 2020. We are already going 5 years, not the latest situation. Now in 2020, what the director of the Fermilab finds is that the world's knowledge base is doubling every 76 days. So this is the kind of a leap. This is the kind of exponential development of information, knowledge, learning from 76 days from 8 years to 76 days. So as in this kind of a thing, everything has gone topsy-turvy. Traditional models of commerce based on demand curves, staple industrial size structures, linear supply chains. Innovation has therefore emerged as a driver of commercial strategy. For competitiveness, businesses must prioritize innovation, leveraging AI, virtual try-ons, and seamless payments. Now, when we look at these kind of issues, they're obviously innovation always challenged. Let me give you an interesting example which In case of, I've been doing a lot of writing on protectionism, which the father referred to, and so many other things, a kind of complex world. Now, here I like to refer to a real life example. When the Britishers, they ruled over us for almost 200 years. 1930s, even otherwise, whether you are in Chennai or UP, Bihar, Karnataka, India has a large number of snakes. Possibly this menace was even much more. So 1930s, this is well documented in economic literature, and this is known as the Cobra effect. Cobra, one of the most dangerous snakes that we have in India around. Now what happened was, this Cobra menace had acquired particularly terrifying proportions in India in 1930s. The Britishers, for their reasons, they thought they were the smartest people on the earth. They represented an empire where the sun never set. So they said, what is this? Indians unnecessarily, they are making a big hue and cry. We are very we will take care of these cobras shortly. So what they did was, there are 3 economic systems in the world: socialism, communism, capitalism. If you look at what distinguishes capitalism from other economic models of economic system, is that it basically incentivizes. There is no dictatorial force, unlike socialism, but you incentivize people to work in a direction, to work hard, to excel. And this is why individuals do well, societies do well, the larger macroeconomic system does well. So they tried to incentivize Indians. They said, if any Indian, if any person, if any native catches cobra snakes deposited with the district authorities, they will get some reward from the British government, possibly 8 annas or 1 rupee that time. So, but 8 annas, 50 paisa by president, but that was in the context of 1930s. That was a huge astronomical sum, 8 annas or even a rupee, something like that. So this policy was well conceived, well intentioned. But when you look at innovation, you have to be aware of pitfalls, and I'm coming to it, but let me finish this example. What actually happened? What happened was the actual reverse of what the Britishers conceived. Because of this huge incentive of 8 annas or 1 rupee or whatever, the people in all homes, district towns, villages, they started rearing cobras. And every 3 months they will come and deposit those snakes to the district authorities, get a rupee or 8 annas and go back home happily. After 6 months, so 1 year, the Britishers realized that this worked in the completely diametrical direction to what the Britishers had hoped, expected. So the scheme was called off. So innovation, the entire world has grown by innovation, but innovations can sometimes fail. They must fail. We learn by a process of experimentation, but here we must not be oblivious to, we must not be unaware of the pitfalls of innovation. When I look to let me flag some challenges: rapidly changing consumer behavior, digital divide and equity. Digital divide, in India, we have seen a wave of digitalization. If you look at IMF's study, one of the major reasons identified and isolated by the IMF for India's sustained accelerated economic growth, particularly in the last 10 is what the IMF calls, if I call, maybe I could be accused of bias, prejudice, looking at things with a jaundiced eye, but certainly not the IMF. IMF has characterized India's development process in the last 10, 15 years as digitalization induced profitability, productivity gains. So this kind of gains are very welcome. But what is more important is that they are here to stay. But digital equity, again, father referred to their interrelated concepts of equity, inclusion. Equity, again, has several dimensions, right from the days of the French Revolution, Magna Carta. You look at the judgments of Europe, America, every civilized country, including in India, a lot of debate, whether in philosophy, whether in jurisprudence, whether in sociology, economics. I don't have to go into time over this, but then basically highlight two important dimensions of equity. We call them vertical equity and horizontal equity. When we say vertical equity, we mean equal treatment of equals. But much more important in the kind of capitalist world, which also gives a resonance to the concept of financial inclusion, is the concept of what we call the vertical equity, unequal treatment of unequals. This is the entire concept, philosophical basis. It provides a theoretical underpinning of the entire system of direct taxes in India and abroad. Talent and skill gaps. We are seeing a mushroom growth of AI. So possibly there is a concern that most of us will lose our jobs. This need not happen, provided we are able to fill this emerging skill gap. We are able to reskill and upskill. Cybersecurity risks, they are becoming a fact of life. Regulatory and compliance complexity, legacy systems, cultural adaptation is also very important. How do we move forward? We have to adopt certain basic safeguards, prioritize cybersecurity, AI-powered threat detection, employee training that needs to be focused, upskilling, reskilling employees, foster collaboration, bridging gaps between IT and business, strategies between industry and academia. In this sense, I would also refer to the new education policy, which was formulated by the government of India in 2020 after a gap of possibly 33 years. And that also gave a great deal of emphasis on what they call the industry-academia interaction. I'm happy to see in the XIM that there is a very happy mix of both industry and academia. Going forward, what are the global best practices? World's omni-channel approach, which integrates e-commerce, mobile apps, and in-store technology. Possibly, this is the way to go. Amazon's AI, their powered recommendations, which increases product sales by 11%. Some retail solutions have been developed, which streamlined operations in integrated sales channels and delivered data insights. Now, how do we move forward? A roadmap ahead. We have to develop a clear vision, align innovation with the strategic goals, invest in emerging technologies, obviously, to leverage AI, blockchain, focus on customer experience, seamless interaction, monitor progress, track KPIs, key performance indicators, build resilient digital and data infrastructure, strengthen innovation and entrepreneurship economic system, modernize regulation and governance, invest in skills, culture, organization change. Now, this is one of the most asked, sometimes in our pursuit of short-term glory, in our pursuit to advance. I think before coming here, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, and we had a brief interaction. So he mentioned in his speech also that trust, corporate governance, ethics, sustainability, these have to be the key watchwords. While progress is essential, we should not take any shortcuts. This does not pay in the long run, either for the individual or for the individual. We have also to think big and position for global leadership and collaboration. Now let me come to my concluding remarks, because I have just 5 minutes. I never overshoot my time. So the writing on the wall is clear. The message of history is unmistakable. The world needs new ways of thinking about innovation and the risk it entails. This is also very significant. Innovation can never be risk-free. Some of you may be faculty and students, may be investing in the stock market. Let me highlight one flip side. Picture abhi baat ki hai, mere dost kar rahe. If you look at the future and options option side of the stock market transactions, last year SEBI had placed on its homepage a very comprehensive report which demonstrated that 89% of the retail investors, 89% of the retail investors lost money hugely in the stock market. Now, what happened this year? This year they have updated this study and they have come to the same finding, except for one significant difference is that the proportion of people losing money has gone up from 89 to 93%. So better, you have to be cautious about innovation. You have to consider all these things in a proper, holistic and broad perspective. However, given this kind of an overarching framework, Indian institutions can no longer exist in a cocoon or adopt an ostrich type stand that maybe the storm will sail over us. It is not so. We cannot be oblivious of safeguards while adopting innovation, business process engineering, out-of-box thinking, all these aspects. These are truly difficult times. We have to necessitate take recalibrated strategy and change of focus. These are difficult times, but since the Father is here, let me refer to one important concept from the Bible, which is one of my most favorite for last possibly 5-6 decades. This too shall pass. So we are going through difficult times. This too shall pass. We will come to India has consistently done well. I'm reminded of the works of a very famous, possibly one of the most famous Russian novelist, Dostoevsky, who said that the darker the night, the brighter the stars. Similarly, one of the most famous English poets, P.B. Shelley, wrote, "If winter comes, can spring be far behind?" So these are times like no other in human history. But I'm confident that with so many young people, earlier also this was referred, 50%, if you look at India's demography today, 50% of the population, like these bright young people sitting in this hall, belongs to the age, less than the age of 35, which gives India a very significant, what is called a demographic dividend. But then, when you're looking at demographic dividend, I'll just take a minute to explain. So many young people, traditionally, population was seen as a drag on the process and pattern of economic development. This kind of economic thought goes back to the pioneering work of Professor Thomas Malthus, a British economist who wrote 1798 a seminal paper. Now this kind of thought held sway possibly for 205 years. In October 2003, there was a seminal paper by Goldman Sachs, iconic company in the financial sector. I do hope and believe some of you will join that company. In India, I think they have offices in Mumbai and Bangalore. So Dominic Wilson, an American professor, and an Indian lady, Rupa Purushottam, teamed up to bring out this kind of an out-of-box thinking that population need not be seen as a drag. It can be seen, and justifiably so, as they demonstrated, as a catalyst to economic growth and structural transformation. They came up with the terms of demographic dividend with this kind of leverage, coined the word BRICS, B-R-I-C-S, which stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries will play an increasingly important role at the global tier. But then Indians, all of us, including this side, maybe we have a tendency. We only look at the big picture. We do not look at the finer details. Towards the end of this report, that was about a 200, I must have read in 2003, about, so do not remember all that. But then towards the end of the report, this two-person team, Dominic Wilson and Rupa Purushottam, some isolated, identified some areas of concern: health, education, employment. These continue to be valid today unless we are able to effectively address the issues of health, education, employment. I'm very happy to see this XIM is particularly focused on employment, education. I wrote somewhere, I think Bangalore, I said maybe it became, Times of India made it a headline that India's demographic dividend may well turn to be a demographic disaster. So, but on the whole, things are looking up. India has a bright place. We shall overcome with our dynamism and resilience. I think there's a popular Hindi number which says, "Hum honge kamyab." We will be successful. Let me close with two powerful lines. One of the most famous Hindi poet, Ramdhare Singh Dinkar, when he wrote, I think sometime in 1950s, ये नखत के बुझते हैं, सारा आकाश तुम्हारा है. The stars of the sky are fading, the entire sky is yours. So this is the kind of humongous opportunity we have to people, commerce graduates, postgraduates sitting in this hall. But if we work in a coordinated, concerted manner with focus of innovation without being oblivious to the safeguards, I'm sure all of us will have a bright future in the days and years ahead. I think I'm close to my time, so 30 seconds left. I'll close here. Thank you very much. Pleasure and privilege being with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful and thought-provoking remarks. Your perspectives have greatly enriched our understandings.
May we respectfully request our esteemed dignitaries to kindly be seated in the audience for the next segment of the program. We now present a dance performance offering a brief cultural interlude. This is a classical fusion drawing largely from the rich traditions of Kathak.